Using approval processes with Learnsmarter. One of the great things about Learnsmarter is that it's a native Salesforce application. And the great thing about that is that a lot of the button-click extensibility that comes with Salesforce can also be used with Learnsmarter. The situation we're going to look at here is an organization where courses are scheduled centrally, but the trainers are allocated regionally. We're going to focus on two people here. So Katie Central is going to do the scheduling, and then we have somebody called Pete Region who's going to allocate the trainer. In order to make sure that that happens correctly, we're going to be using an approval process. So essentially Katie needs to approve the allocation that Pete will have done. One mechanism we're going to use to manage this is a very simple field called the Is Published field, which you can see down here. When a course is published, you can make registrations onto it. The course is scheduled by Katie, Pete allocates the trainer, and then he can't publish it. He has to submit it for approval back to Katie. And when Katie approves it, it automatically becomes published. So we're using some background automation just to simplify and organize the entire process. I'm going to show you how to actually build this approval process, but just before I do that, I want to run through and give you a demo of the approval process in action. So at the moment, we're looking at Katie's homepage. You can see here that key metrics and statistics can easily be displayed on the homepage, but what we want to do is go straight to the scheduling of the courses. So I'm just going to select a course. It's one that I've been using earlier. If we scroll down, you can see that I've saved some what we call a schedule template. So I need to go to find that schedule template, which I can just do now quickly. And then I'm going to go down to that scheduled template and click on it. This template essentially contains, it's a perfectly scheduled course. So it contains any resources, it contains the rooms, and so on and so on and so on. Importantly, it doesn't contain the trainer at this point. And now I'm just going to schedule some of these courses. I'm not going to do this for a month or two. So I'm going to schedule this next year. So we're going to go to February, and I want to run it on Tuesdays. And I want to run it once a month. So I'm going to repeat it every month, and I'm going to repeat it 6 times like so. And then I just click next. So what Learnsmarter now does is it goes in and schedules those courses for me. It's also going to check the availability of the room and of any other resources. And if there are any clashes, they'll get reported back to me. There aren't any. If there were, I'd see them here. So I'm happy to go ahead and now schedule that batch. And what happens at that point is some notifications will be sent out to Pete telling him that he's got some trainers that he needs to allocate. Okay, so those have now been scheduled. So let's switch to Pete and see what's going on there. So this is Pete's homepage. You can see it's got slightly different information here because we can use sharing rules and so on to make sure that people only see what we want them to see. I'm just going to refresh this so I get his task. So we're going to scroll down the page, and at the bottom of the page here you'll see here are his tasks. So these are the different courses that have been created. I'm going to click on one of them here and go to this course, and you'll see this is a course that was just scheduled. So this is the course that we just scheduled here, and there's no trainer. So I need to now go on and schedule that trainer. So it's very simple. I just scroll down the page to where the trainers are allocated, click register trainers, and then I'm going to search for a suitable trainer. Learnsmarter will only search for trainers who are in the correct location who can actually teach this course. So I'm going to search for a suitable trainer, pick my trainer, and then when I'm ready, I just save that. And that's allocated the trainer. It will put costs in there and so on if I want it to do so. It's allocated the trainer, and you see this course now has a primary trainer. If I just go to edit it here, you'll see that publish field, I can't click it. I need to publish it before I can make registrations. So the only way that I, as a regional manager, can publish this is to submit it to approval. So if I just scroll down, you'll see the approval history is down at the bottom of the page here, and I click the button to submit it for approval, right? As soon as I do that, what happens is that you'll see the course becomes locked. So it's locked and I can't do anything about it. And now I'm going to switch back to Katie, right? So I've actually got a notification that's come in an email of that approval request. So I could click straight on that approval request. I can also see that on the home page. If I go on the home page here, I'll see if I scroll down the page a bit, I've got some items to approve. So I've got my item to approve there. So Katie will actually see all of the information that she needs directly on this step. So she can see what the course is, when it's running, who the trainer is, and so on and so on and so on. She can actually go in and view that course and check all the details. But if she's happy, she can approve it directly from this page here. So that's exactly what she does. She approves it. She can say, put a little note in here, and then approve it, and that's done. So that course is now scheduled, and it's actually available for people to make registrations on. So it would actually be available on our website and everything else, all done in the background. So the approval process is the mechanism that you see happening, but in the background, all of the notifications and so on, the publishing is all happening automatically. So what we want to do now is just to show you how you set that up and really how easy it is to set up. Essentially, we're using standard Salesforce functionality here. Any Salesforce administrator should be able to do this. We'll go to the setup page, and first thing I'm going to do is look for approvals, like so. And you'll see the existing processes there. I'm actually going to deactivate that one and create a new one from scratch. So I'm going to create a new approval process now, and I'm going to use the standard setup wizard to do this. The way that Learnsmarter works is essentially with the scheduled course, if you've created an approval process, then the approval step will automatically appear on the page. That's the only thing you have to do. So we're going to need to give it a name. So we'll call it trainer approval. And the unique name will automatically populated, and submit approval when trainer allocated. So we'll just put our description in there, click next, and essentially we just run through a series of steps. So this is what we're doing here, is we're specifying what status the record needs to be in order for it to be submitted for approval. So we've got a couple of fields here, one saying has a trainer, and that needs to be true, and put that in, and then one saying is published, and we're going to set that as false. The reason for this is that it could be that a central person or an overall manager may be able to just set up the courses themselves and without the approval process. So this is only going to be for people who actually need to do this. Some people may not need to do this, so this will only happen in this situation. So has a trainer is true, is published is false, and then I click next. Then we decide how the next approver is determined. I'm going to use the manager field. So I've set up a direct field on the user to link to the manager, but there are other ways of doing this. And then I can assign an email template, so you can build a new template to send an email out with all the information on it. I'm just going to skip that, and it will just be a really simple email that gets sent out. And now I need to decide what fields to show the approver when they see a record that's come in for approval. If you remember, we saw this a little bit earlier when Katie had to approve that course. So I need to show her enough fields to essentially make sure that she's ready to approve this. So let's have a look if we can pick those fields out. So we're going to get the name of the trainer, add that in. We'll get some other information about the course. So we'll get the name of the course, which is up here, and we'll get the start date, like so, and we'll also put the venue in, like so. So essentially we're giving her all the information she needs to approve that course. We can choose to display the history as well. I'm not going to bother, but you certainly can do that. And then I just click next. Now we have to define who the submitter is. You can choose specific people who are able to submit this by selecting user here, but we can also select role, and I'm going to use role because I've got essentially these regional roles who are going to be doing my submitting. So these are the people who will be able to submit it. And then I'm going to click save. So let's now look at what we've done so far. So let's have a look at what we've just created so we can see where we are. So we've created the process, given it some entry criteria, and said who can edit it. And now we're going to have some submission actions. So the initial submission action is to lock the record, and then we need to create an approval step. So we have to have this approval step. So let's add that in. So we're going to have the approval step. It's actually very, very simple to do this. We just going to give it a name, submit for approval. and a description. And keep it like that, but you can make it rather more complicated than this. And we're going to leave it as all records should meet this step. There's nothing, we've got all our criteria in there already. There's nothing else we need to do. And then we've already decided who's going to be assigned with that, so we just save that. So let's now go and have a look at our step now. So we've defined the process. We've now put the approval step in there, which is very, very simple. And you can see we've already got the final approval actions and the final rejection actions. So when we're saying here when the record is rejected, that it's going to be unlocked for editing. If it's approved, then it's still going to be locked. I actually don't want to do that. So I want to unlock it. So essentially one thing I'm going to do is when the record is approved, it will then be unlocked. And I want to do a couple other things as well. So I actually want to now publish that course, so I can add a new action in there, which is going to be a field update. So what I want to do is I want to publish. So I'm going to publish it. And so this can be done automatically. So automatic publishing. And then I select the field that I'm going to update. So it's going to be the is published field. And this is a very important field for Learnsmarter because essentially it means then that you can make registrations. So we just say that I want it to be true, and then I click save. And essentially that's it. So my approval process now exists. So it's very simple to create these things. All we do is we put the approval step in there. We're going to submit it for approval, say what happens when it is approved, say what happens when it's rejected, what happens if it's recalled. So when it's recalled, it's unlocked, and a lot of this you can see is done by default. So the only thing remaining for me to do now is to activate this. So if I click activate there, that will now activate the step, and then essentially my approval's there, it's all set up and it's all working. And that's it. So thank you for watching, and I hope you found that informative and useful.